Start video. There we go.
You're Paul Clark, and you're a member of Brickish.
Yeah, so Brickish. I'm quite new in Brickish, but in terms of the community, quite a number of years, really. Yeah. So,
Paul, I think you're kind of lopsided. That's
there we go. Sorted. Sorry, been a bit of a rush. Okay,
no problem. Is this your workshop?
It is. Yeah, it's the stuff behind you can't see. There's stuff underneath. There's stuff for pretty much everywhere. Yeah. And I'm currently halfway through building a pirate layout, which is what the camera's actually sitting in right now, because I'm building that at the moment as well. So yeah, everything's everywhere. So.
And is this all Lego paraphernalia?
All of it.
Different types of bricks.
Each is sorted into certain parts, and then certain colours, and then it's so kind of I know where everything is really when I'm building, and you kind of just reach along when you need things and grab it. Yeah, so it's a little bit extreme. And I can send you some pictures if you want of the rest of it. It's and there's also stuff in the loft as well, sets that I've not even opened. So yeah, it's a bit extreme.
Does it kind of take over your life?
It can do. I think when especially yes and no really. I've got quite a busy family life as well, so that kind of takes up a lot of my time as well as. But a little bit especially when you're in the middle of building a new project and all that, that really does, because you're researching that project and you're thinking about it quite a lot, about how I'm going to do things in your head as well, and then you've got the process of then building it as well. So there's a lot of acronyms in is that the correct word? I think in the Lego world really, and one of those is a LUG, which is Lego User Group. And so I joined my first Lego user group, my first LUG in 2017, and it was quite a small one really. And there's a lot of them geographically. So there's one in Bristol predominantly, which I'm part of. There's quite several in the north. There's ones in London, and there's ones in Scotland. But Brickish is the one that covers a national, covers the country nationally really. So and there's a lot of friends involved there, a lot of people I've grown to be quite close to as well in that community as well. So yeah.
And have you always had a passion for Lego?
Yeah. Well, again, it's there's something we call a dark age in the community, which is where we were fans as kids, and then we've kind of come back to, we've had our time away, and then we've had either kids ourselves, or we've just walked down an aisle and then bought a set, and then we got the bug back really. So that's your dark age of those. Usually it's in your 20s and your early 30s when you're enjoying yourself too much down the pub, and then you find Lego again. So yeah, so it's always yes, but there was an age where I just was completely away from it. Yeah.
And when you were younger, when you were like having Lego sets for Christmas and your birthday, did you know then that this would continue? Did you have
no I always think that, actually. I always think I'd like to go back to 8-year-old 10-year-old me and say, do you know what, you're going to be putting on your own Lego shows, you're going to be having half a garage full of it, you're going to be traveling all around the country, you have friends all around the world. I'm attending my first event that is not in this country at the end of September, so I'm very much excited about that. So no, I think it would be crazy to take that to 8-year-old me and say you're going to have this amazing world and this amazing group of friends and community, but also be a really good, well, I'm not to be bragging, but also quite a good builder at what you do as well. So yeah, it'd be quite cool to say that to myself.
And in terms of how you design the process that you follow, is it unique to the builder? Does everyone have a slightly different approach in terms of how they plan, design, implement?
Yeah. There's different ways. So people have for example, there's a software people use to build their mocks, and again that's another acronym which is my own creation. So there's software you can use for that. People like free building, which is what I prefer, which is you just start from a process. You start from just grabbing things and ideas, but also there's ideas of where you map it out first, and then you go ahead and stop implementing that really. So what I'm building at the moment has already been mapped out months in advance. Pinterest's been quite helpful in terms of ideas and just getting ideas, looks and all that. And you research even actual history and all that kind of stuff as well, and understand that a little bit as well, yeah. And then you just crack on, but people have their own different way of doing it really as well. So yeah.
Do you get kudos for the detail? So like if you're doing a period piece, kudos for the detail that unless you'd done the research, you wouldn't know?
Depends if you're doing like a historical one. So, for example, my last one, which I showed at shows for 12 months was Diagon Alley. Lego released the Diagon Alley sets not too long ago, and the set was released, and I thought that doesn't look like the actual film set, which I think is incredible. So I thought, I'm going to do that, and it was during lockdown as well. I started that during lockdown. So anyway, I built it, and it was a lot of reference pictures, a lot of looking at pictures of the studios, Warner Brothers studios, and then you then take it to shows, and then people do go, "Oh wow, that looks like I've been to this Warner Brothers studios. It looks exactly like it." Or the other flip side, you get some kid that knows too much about Harry Potter, more than myself, and points out, "Well, that's wrong. That looks a bit weird." So yeah, that's the other side of it really as well. So, but you do get a lot of kudos for people going that. And for this particular one as well, it's detail is you test yourself with every build you do, really, with every mock you do. And for this particular one I'm doing, I'm trying to do a little more detail than usual. Yeah.
Would you say that you're your biggest critic in terms of?
Oh yeah.
After the builds, you kind of pick it apart, think actually, I'll stay.
With shows, you either some shows you're there for all weekend, you're there just for a day, but you're there just staring at your building, and you go, "That could be better. That could be better. I need to change that." And you do, but also you're highly competitive as well. I'm okay. I'm now a confident builder, but there are other people out there who are still substantially better than me. And you do look at other people and you go, "That's the bar I want to get to eventually," But then other people probably look at me now and think the same thing and go, "Well, he's really good. I want to get to his level eventually." But yeah, but you do look at it and go, things you want to change. I'm looking at it right now, actually. Now we're talking and going, "Well, that needs improving right now." So it looks at you. So
it is like a work of art. What you produce, it is absolutely it is artistic. It's just Lego is your medium. Yeah,
no, it is true. It's your way of escape. It's your way of. It is an art form in terms of you're creating anything's possible, like anything's possible with a paintbrush or a sewing needle, for example. It really is the same thing, and it's just cool that it engages so many people and it inspires so many people, and kids love it just as much as adults as well, which is awesome as well. So yeah.
Do you think adults and the whole society, when you meet people, are surprised at what you can do with Lego? I think a lot of people they play with it as a child. They may buy it for their children, but after that, they don't think of it as anything else like an art form or that you can take it to the level.
They don't. You get two reactions when you say you're an adult fan of Lego, and you get the reactions of, "Oh, that's really cool," and "Wow," when you show what you've done, "Oh, that's amazing."
Yeah.
And then you get people just going, "Oh yeah, oh, okay, yeah," and they think you're a little bit weird, and you are like, you're a child still and playing with bricks and kids toys, which is what they still are, I suppose. They are still kids toys. So.
Yeah, but I mean the level that you guys take it to, it is just it's gone far past the toy stage. It's into
they've got the obsession stage
realm.
Yeah, it's there's guys I know they queue at midnight for sets that are coming out and releasing early. There's trust me, there is, and well, I am quite small in terms of the other people out there, and there's a lot of people in Brickish as well that do stuff that is just way beyond even my capabilities, or even not my capabilities, but my interests. I think they are just fully committed, even more than myself as well.
So, looking at your builds, do you have a certain genre that you go for? Is it always typically the same thing, or do you just is your inspiration everything, and do your builds reflect very different aspects of your life? And
it depends, I think, what I'm into at the time, really. So the 7 years I've been doing, I started. They'd release a sets called the Modular Series, which are just buildings, really, and you build a street and it looks cool and all that. And so you build that like most people do. They build these cityscapes, which is cool, but then they're limited. So the real ones are the two projects I'm happy with, really, are the Harry Potter one was really important because that was my kids. My wife is a huge Harry Potter fan, and my kids are too. So it was nice to kind of build that for them. And every day I'd finish something and they'd come out and go, "Oh, this is what I've done," and they go, "Oh, that's brilliant," and I'd kind of building it for them in a sense. And then for this one, I'm a fan of an online pirate game. And it's called Sea of Thieves, which I don't know if you're aware of that, or anybody else is at all, any of your watchers or viewers. But yeah, and that me and my brother play that game, so that's why this has inspired me to do this. But also, pirates was a huge theme when I was a kid as well. So there was a theme back in the 90s, early 90s, shall I say? And one of my first Lego sets I remember was the Barracuda Bay set. what was it called? I forgot. I'm gonna do I'm gonna get shouted at by a lot of people about this. But yeah. Anyway, so it was a pirate ship set anyway back in the 90s as well, and that was kind of my theme as a kid as well, to pirates and all that kind of thing as well. So yeah.
So in terms of Brickish and other communities of brick builders, is there like legends within this in your members? People you aspire to be, who are just held up as the best there is?
Yeah, yeah. So, for example, even the guy that actually passed our details on, a guy called Simon Scott, I reveal Simon enormously because he's not only an amazing builder, he's also a lovely bloke as well. But also, what Simon does, Simon's also applying for his sets to be actually become a recognised Lego set as well by the Lego Group themselves. So he's applying for that again because we've all pestered him to do so. So Simon's a great guy. Then you've got people in Brickish as well, like Kevin Gascoigne and Leanne. They're people in Brickish. They actually put on. They actually run an organisation called Fairybricks. Don't know if you've heard of Fairybricks at all. Fairybricks are a charitable organisation, and they basically collect sets throughout the year. They raise money in certain ways, and then they give those sets out to kids in hospitals. And just brighten their day or brighten their week if possible, and it's such inspiring work that people like Kevin do in Fairybricks, and so that's I find that really inspiring because it's Lego and it's these communities doing positive things, which it just melts my heart, to be fair. And they do a show called Bricktastic, which is the biggest in the UK, and it's just a great day, great weekend, shall I say? Yeah.
I think that's what comes across when talking to yourself and just looking at the community of builders and how much good they put back into society. It's not all about self; it's about creating this art form, working on this project. But then the joy it gives to fans when they see it, and the money you can raise from fundraising, holding events, like you say.
But it's charitable events. There's charitable things we do as well. But also as well when you do shows and kids are coming to those shows and they're being inspired to go home and build, and it happens with my own kids when I've took them to shows and they'll come back and they'll build. So you're inspiring kids in a sense to, and that's also pretty cool as well, to create and be either a future engineer or a future builder or a future anything really, or artist, and that's really, really cool. I like the thought of that, and you just know kids are going home and building the hell out of things and being absolutely inspired by what they've seen that day.
So do you still buy shop sets? Do you still buy Technic?
Yeah. Well, I think you probably see there's a whole rack of them there. There's some more in the loft. I don't build them though. I very rarely build sets out of boxes. The only time I do is when it's a gift from my wife or my kids or family. That's the rule I have. It's a gift, I have to build it. I can't just keep it on the shelf and hope to make hope it to either accrue money or collect it constantly. But I don't tend to. It's mostly for me. It's for example, I can grab some of these. One of my big things is when you go to the Lego store these days, there's a wall. There's a wall on the back of the Lego stores. I'm sure you've seen those. Pick a brick walls, and you just fill cups of parts you might need one day. And these are little rounds, dark blue tiles. I don't think I'll ever need them, but I have them just in case. So that's kind of my buzz really. But there's other websites you can get. There's a website called Bricklink. You can go and buy whatever part. It's like a pick and mix really. And that on Bricklink, those are sellers across the UK. They're not owned by the Lego Group. The Bricklink is owned by the Lego Group, but that's just sellers that making money or making a profit out of it really. And actually, some of them actually use it as additional income as well. So yeah, as well as also feeding their hobby as well, which I know a lot of people do. So the profits they make from Bricklink or their stores, they'll then plow that into buying sets and feeding their own hobby. So
the bricks that you use in your builds, are they all commercially available? They're not specially commissioned or made, are they?
No, they're all made by Lego. It's a taboo that is actually in terms of when you do your own builds, there has to be Lego. It can't be fake Lego. It can't be. So they're all manufactured by Lego. Each part, each color. You do get some custom pieces in terms of prints, which are on. You can get prints on like flat tiles like that, which are quite good. There are people that do those prints, but yeah, those are the only ones that are custom made. For example, when I did the Harry Potter build, some of the shop signs I had printed, but no, everything else in terms of parts and actual the part itself is still made by Lego. And as I say, you get very frowned upon if you start having fake Lego at shows. It's a very very big no-no. So yeah, as well as gluing it as well, that's a big no-no as well.
You talked about Lego, the actual company.
Yeah.
I mean, how closely associated is Brickish and the other clubs to Lego?
So that's a good question. So in terms of, and again, this is back to the community aspect and the positive nature of these Lego groups. That they're not heavily linked, but there is a link between the group in terms of how they're kind of I wouldn't say managed, but how they benefited from their recognition by the Lego group. So each lug as well. If you achieve positive work in the community, positive events, and you're being good for the Lego brand in the state, you're good beacons of good beacons for the brand, and you get recognised by the Lego group. Brickish is one of those recognised groups, and there are others in the country that are not recognised. There are others that are, and it's just nice to have that kudos again of being linked to the group, and you have people coming to shows who are from the Lego group themselves. So yeah, that was good. Like for example, there was a Bricktastic in Manchester. There was Jordan Paxton from the Lego group. Just came around, talked to fans, and they absolutely love that. And they love that engagement as well, as much as we love seeing them. They're like celebrities really to us. So yeah,
I think Lego is one of the few brands. It's got such a positive image.
Yeah,
I think it's almost the appeal of Lego is always universally positive in terms of you've got parents now who grew up with Lego and they know how good it was for them as a child, and they're passing that on to their children. And I just think, like you say, that the fact you can then build the set and then convert it afterwards into whatever you want, you reuse it. It just the possibilities of Lego are endless, and I think that's why parents love it, because it's a tangible thing that kids can build and they can use their imagination. It's got so many Sorry, go on.
No, but we'll also actually say that it's going back into the Lego group. I've not seen it personally. I will be seeing it at the show I'm doing in Denmark in September. But they come to events, and their designers come to events, and they're as in awe of what can be achieved as well. They love it as much as we love it, really, in a sense. They're fans just as much, the people that come from the group admire the work of their fans, and that, which is also really cool to see. They don't even from all ages as well. They love just seeing what can be created with their product, really, which is what it is. It's still a product, and they absolutely love it, and that is inspiring for us as builders, but also for them as well.
Do they ever? I think you may have touched upon this point. Do they ever use ideas like, can you apply to have your set incorporated?
So I'll give you a perfect example of that. Actually, this is an idea set. So you've got that one there. That was obviously Wally from the Pixar film. That was an idea set. Somebody put that as an idea into Lego Group. It got 10,000 supporters. And then when it achieves 10,000 supporters, it then has to be chosen from a selection of either 25 up to about 47, I think is the highest total they've had. They do that every quarter, I think it is, and there is a chance for that set which has been created by a fan to become an actual set that they get revenue from, and the kudos of just being able to, you've designed that set as well. So yeah. I met there's a guy called Steve Guinness. He designed the typewriter. Again, not a working Lego typewriter. I met Steve, and he very kindly signed my sealed set of that, which again, I was like a little fanboy, really.
It just sounds so positive, isn't it?
No, it is.
Ecosystem.
It really is, and it's positive because of what you can be achieved. But also as well, the biggest pull, as well as the building, as well as the building for me, is the social aspect. It really is. I'd like to, we all like building, we all like to do good things, but then mostly when we go to these shows, we like to get together and have a few beers and enjoy ourselves and get a bit leery as well, And people think it's just a bunch of geeks and sitting in corners and counting, the number of studs on each brick, but actually we're getting quite there, and it gets a bit interesting some evenings, definitely. So yeah.
And would you say the membership of Brickish and the other lug groups? Is it all sorts of backgrounds? You know, all
Yeah,
different ages, men, women, young,
yeah,
old.
yeah, very much so. Yeah, but also the genders as well, which is fantastic as well to see. There's a lot more. I reckon seeing a lot more trans women involved as well in the community, which is fantastic. None of them are judged as well, which is I think is lovely. Because we're just seen as just fans of the brick, and we just talk to each other like fans, and nobody judges anyone. It's just a positive community of everyone, really, and we see everyone that's different as a plus, and not as a negative, definitely.
As well as the shows that you do to raise money for charities, etc.
Yeah.
Are there actual tournaments where you can win prizes for the best in show? Is
When I first started doing shows, that used to be a thing. I think that's going to stop now, which is a bit of a shame. So I've kind of got good now. So but no, not because I think at the time I think people stopped doing it because it wasn't fair really. Whatever you're doing, there shouldn't be a best in show. Everyone, whatever people bring to shows,
yeah.
whatever people build, is amazing, no matter what it is, in my opinion. And it's so yeah, that's pretty cool. But I'm still competitive and still like to win it once. So.
So with the builds, it's bricks, but can you use any other materials to kind of support them, to prop them up, to give them extra, stability?
Yeah, there's the real clever people that build wooden frames under those under their builds. I'm not that clever. I can barely put up a set of shelves. So no, not. But so there is people out there, but not myself. I'm just not that clever to be able to build some kind of frame. But yeah, people do, and that's just as clever. They incorporate their builds with frames and with other ways of working. For example, there was a guy I saw a couple of years ago, and he built a revolving spaceship, actually with a motor, and it revolved. But it was actually built with a metal frame could actually sit inside it and hold it and keep it steady, because Lego just couldn't do that work. There's a lovely lady called Emily Poole as well. Emily builds a Minecraft Death Star. It's enormous, and she has a wooden pole supporting it in the middle as well. But that's all it is, really, nothing fancy. And that in itself is an incredible build just because of the sheer size and how much weight it's taking. She's a talented builder.
And you were saying that you put on these shows. Are these shows, are they gaining popularity? Have they always been popular?
Always been popular, to be honest, really. You get shows of different sizes. So you get shows, I'm doing one in Cambridge in a couple of weeks, which is one room, about the size of a small church hall. And then you get shows like one I did, which is in a school dining room, quite a big show. We had 1,000 people in it in a day. And then you have shows like, as I said, like Bricktastic in Manchester, which is the largest in the country, and there was 3,000 people a day there, so about 7,000 people in total on a weekend. So they're really degree different size and kind of who pops along really as well. Yeah, but predominantly they're just people just coming along and being inspired, but they've not waned at all, not seen popularity decline. Especially with COVID as well. You thought, oh my God, of all things, a show which actually is about touching things and this and the other. It's actually the opposite, really. They've actually become more popular, I think, because people have been craving to get that back, and long may it continue. But also as well, it's become a very, I wouldn't say popular market, because people are not making not making money out of these shows predominantly. There are one or two organisations which are commercial, which is fine. But the charity shows, they're becoming more and more around the country as well. And with the cost of petrol and people's time as well, people are being very picky about what shows they do and don't do as well, and which is a great problem to have, really. The fact there's all these shows happening around the country. So yeah, I see it as a plus, not as a negative, as somebody puts on their own show.
And you told me that you, at the end of each build, you recycle the bricks.
Yeah. So you just do. I mean, right now I've got a huge pit behind me, a huge box where everything's broken up, and as I'm building this, I'm taking that apart, and so when this is finished, which is I've got another month to finish this before my next show, and then I'll start sorting those parts into the drawers you see around you, and ready again for the next build in the future when I decide to do that. So yeah.
So is the pressure on to get it done on time?
It is a lot, really. I've got a 2-week holiday as well in August as well, so the pressure is on. I had a friend of mine around this week who's helping me with little bits of the build as well, and we were both just working hard as well, so just trying to get it done. It is just, it's parts you need, and that does cost a lot of money. For I'll show you a perfect example of that as well. So because there's a lot of sea going on, it's a pirate build.
Yeah.
So that is a huge tray of the translucent parts like that.
Yeah.
So the idea is that's going to look like the sea. However, you think that's quite a lot, don't you? That really is not a lot at all. So one of these plates demands 500 of these.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to really need it. I'm got a lot more. I'm going to have to buy before I finish.
Do you ever have a hard time sourcing parts? Like, are some bricks harder to find than others? And
yeah. For example, certain Lego only makes certain parts sometimes in certain colours. So, for example, I'll show you a palm tree I'm building. That's a palm tree for my pirate build. So you see that part there, that bush. It gives you an idea also how the money that is actually involved for some people. Those parts were made in a certain colour. Now, I would like those in a certain colour. However, they're £5 each for a bush, a plastic bush, for God's sake. Also, what's also funny, which is a funny story in terms of access to parts as well. And I love telling this story. Lego have made one set in its entire history with goats. These a running joke about the goats, just plastic goats that all are about the size of that really, and they value at £75 each.
A goat.
And a goat for a goat, you could actually probably buy a herd of goats for less than £75. Maybe, I don't know, but I've never bought a goat in my life. But yeah, so yeah, but the general parts, you have an issue in terms of volume. Your own funds are an issue as well. So I'm a dad of two really. So I've got my priority is my kids, and so I'm having to obviously balance that with also my own addiction, really, which is what it is. It's an addiction, when you've got a room full of it, it becomes past a hobby, I think. So yeah.
So just going back to this build that you're working on now. So you've planned it out. You've got a rough time scale, and you've got your friend coming in to help you. Are you working off a schematic, a plan?
Yeah.
By brick. So
pretty much. So yeah, you've done so what you do, you put it on a standard base plate, which is this is a Lego base plate. These are quite popular if you remember these as kids. And then what you do, you reinforce that base plate, and then but what I've done is each one of these I've measured out, and then I've actually drew a plan. I used to be quite into graphic design when I was a kid, so I've drew each kind of plate, and then you get an idea of the size of it, and then you go, well, this is where I want that as well. So you pencil draw that. But again, that's a lot of trial and error as well. You go back to it, you draw it again, and then you plan, and then you start the build phase, and then you go, well, actually, that doesn't fit with how I thought it was going to look, and then also you put it out and realise the goddamn size of it as well. So it's like so this one will be, I think it was going to be, which is not actually quite small compared to other sizes. This is going to be about 6 foot by 6 foot by 8 foot. This is going to be, which sounds big. But trust me, there's bigger ones. I've seen a lot bigger. Yeah.
Just going back a little bit. So, you said you had this dark period where you kind of fell out of Lego. You had other things going in your life. How did you get back into it? Did you get a set at Christmas, or did you come across a set and thought, actually, I can do something else with this?
Yeah. I was a Star Wars fan, and I didn't even go to a toy shop for 10 years, or 10, 15 years, and then I had a kid. I had a daughter, and took her down the aisle of a toy shop, and found in the Lego aisle, and oh wow, look at all this now! Look at what they can do! Oh, look at the Star Wars Lego sets! Wow, And then I said to my wife one Christmas, I think it was Christmas 2016, I think it was. Or 2015 it was, no, 2015.
Yeah.
And I said, can I have, it was a Lego AT-AT, so from Star Wars, the big Imperial Walker things. And then I had that, and then I want another one. And then I want another one, and then I want to start buying things with my own money, and then okay, and then it grew from there. So yeah.
And did you think at that time? So you built the AT-AT and you built the other things. Did you think actually, let's build something that I've come up with? Is that
no? That was actually quite a few years later. Really, I was that was just collecting the odd set really and displaying it around the house, and that was it. I will say the Lego's not allowed in the house anymore, and the garage is as far as it goes. And then I started building. Buying the town buildings I told you about, the kind of towny modular buildings. And then you start going, oh, I'd like to actually try something that and you hear about things, and so it did very much a very slow evolutionary process. And then the same thing also where you then see there's other communities as well. You go, okay, you get more interested, and you're trying to find out more of any hobby. Really, incrementally, it gets bigger and bigger, and expands really. Yeah. So,
well, I have to say, Paul, it is really interesting talking to you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I guess your wife always knows what to buy you for Christmas. It's like
pretty much. Yeah, I think she's now got to the point where just have the money and buy what you want. Really, she's kind of got to that point these days. Really.
Are there any Lego sets that you have your eye on, or?
Yeah. I collect the idea sets, the same as the Wally set. So currently, right now, the one I've really got my eye on, I'm really looking forward to getting when I've stopped playing with pirates. Is they've done Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night. It's beautiful. It's a really beautiful set. It's stunning. Again, that's what can be achieved with Lego. Please check it out. It's a gorgeous set. And it's one you can actually hang up in your house as well.
This is something that Lego have
commercially available. Is a Vincent van Gogh set. Obviously they've actually had permission from the whoever owns the painting and or whatever foundation that there's part of. So it's a stunning set. So looking forward to building that. It's my favourite painting, one of my favourite paintings, but also I'm a big fan of Don McLean's Vincent, the song Vincent.
It is very clever how they've hooked upon this brilliant idea, marrying up with Star Wars.
They had a crazy idea in the late 90s to start building under license, and that's really what saved the Lego Group, and still does doesn't to this day. But yeah, it did at one point. It was a huge plus. It was a huge gamble, but it worked. It paid off massively, and so
you think about it though. I mean, it's kind of makes perfect sense. A lot of geeks are into Star Wars. Marry Star Wars and Lego. You got a huge.
It is. Where thought that is, and they've continued that ever since. Harry Potter sets. Harry Potter, the last Harry Potter film was 10 years ago, and now they're still producing sets, and they're still popular as ever. And they've moved into doing Mario as well now. So there's just other ones that really doing other licensings. They've just seen the benefit of that really and what it does.
Is there any particular genre? So you talked about the Van Gogh paintings. Is there any sort of thing you think personally it would be great if Lego did this?
There's not really much they've not touched on. If I'm honest, they're doing floral sets now. Say paintings, artwork now. They're even doing games consoles now and everything. I suppose I'd like to maybe, like most fans as well, and most fans who you ask this question will probably say the same thing. I'd like them to go back to certain themes again, to go back to pirates, to go back to castles, which they have done for the 90th anniversary as well. But saying that though, I'm glad they're not, because it makes it a little bit more interesting when they're doing a bit more exciting. But for example, they've also now gone to Transformers, doing the Optimus Prime set, which is
really
incredible. It's just they're brilliant, and I just look forward to what they're doing next every single month. Really, what else they're going to announce and what else they're going to bring out, and what else is going to absolutely make me skint. So yeah.
I know it's not the cheapest toy. It's not.
No, it's not. Well, I've recently made a decision to only buy parts as well. Going forward, I'll buy the idea sets because they're the sets I collect. But to a point of just buying sets willy nilly just for the sake of buying a set because it's nice.
Yeah,
I think those days are gone. I want to build sets, build mocks now, and my own creations, and just buy parts, which which are great as well. So, but also I think one thing that I haven't touched on is the mental health bonus as well. That's a huge pull. A lot of people will tell you, most people will tell you when they have a night of building or a night of just opening the sets, and they feel different after it. They feel a lot better mentally as well, and I see a huge impact on me when I've had a stressful day or something like that, and the troubles at home, and you come into this kind of inner sanctum, so to speak, and you build and you just feel refreshed a little bit as well. So that's good, and it's always a positive thing. And the pandemic helped with that for a lot of people. You saw a huge increase in people buying Lego sets during the pandemic.
There is something therapeutic, isn't there, about putting something together? It takes your mind off it. Just follow the instructions.
Even just sorting parts, I think, find very therapeutic. Your mind is completely elsewhere. It's in the zone of sorting parts and sorting things out.
It's a little bit of OCD there, Paul, with all the little, everything is nothing's mixed up. Reds are with reds,
and again, this is nothing compared to friends and other people within Brickish. They won't mind me saying it. I know they won't. This is nothing compared to other people. So,
a bit of trivia for you.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I'm going to say this right. Do you know what the English translation of Lego is?
Lego.
I think isn't it something to do with play or something like that? The
Oh,
Danish
beg your
version
pardon.
of
Yes,
Lego.
yeah.
Sorry, I probably said
the Danish. No, the Danish. It's from the Danish. I think Legot, which is
yeah,
play well.
yeah.
And again, I think again that's something I think that is within the community, that thing
Yeah.
to play well, not only with the actual product itself, but also as a community as well.
Yeah.
And if anybody watching this program, I think if you're into Lego and you want to take the next step, look around your local Lego user group. Contact somebody at Brickish, and they'll let you know of a local group. There's local meets and all that. There are people out there that share your hobby just as much as yourself, and join those groups. And you don't have to engage. You don't have to be at everything. But if you want to just have a chat and bounce ideas off each other, it's just brilliant. And there's such positive environments, and the work Brickish do, and other lugs and other Lego user groups. Sorry, I'll start using the acronyms. They're really positive environments, and I love being part of them. It's, for me, it's, as I said earlier, it's as important as the products and the bricks and all that itself. It's the community aspect I absolutely adore.
I don't understand why there aren't more junior Lego groups at schools. You know, you get school groups to look at, you know, all sort of like football, sports, activities.
I completely agree, actually. Yeah, that's a good point. Even like, you know, groups like the after school clubs. My wife's a teacher, so they have drama clubs and all that. So why isn't there an after school club for Lego? And why not? But again, it's about sourcing of parts, and but also Lego also do work like that themselves. They do send people out to schools, and you know, because they're trying to find the next engineer, they're trying to find the next builder, the next designer. So they do a lot of that themselves.
I mean, it must be good for science, for the STEM fields, you know, science, technology, engineering, maths. I mean, Lego is a cornerstone of that. You know, learning how to structures hold up, you know, with the bricks and etc. So to me, it's just you know, a great opportunity for children to understand engineering and how structures work.
Massive, especially with there's a certain group of Lego builders as well. These are the advanced. Well, there's Technic builders, which are they are another world of clever. But also there's something called the Great Ball Contraption. I implore you to go out, finish this video, and go and see a Great Ball Contraption video. They are motorized sets, each module, and they pass balls from each one to the other. It sounds boring, but they do it in the most elaborate ways, and they're just so clever. Some of them are just beyond amazing, really. But they're mostly people with engineering background that will start going to Lego and adapt their engineering know-how into building great ball contraptions. So, as you say, why not employ that into schools and just understanding how things work, really? Yeah.
And what's that? The Great Ball Contraptions.
Great Ball Contraptions. I'll send you a video. Some of them are just brilliant. For example, the one guy comes to mind, a guy called Makira. He's a crazy Portuguese man. You won't want me saying that, but he's from an engineering background, and he's so clever. It's just insanely clever. People like Hugh Millington as well. Hugh, again, we actually had at my show, we had the largest Great Ball Contraption display in the UK ever. Well, there ever has been, and it was enormous, and it was just, kids are just hypnotised by it, and you'll see what I mean. They are just absolutely hypnotised, and dads as well love it, because it's just, my own dad actually came to his first Lego show, which was mine. My dad's an engineer, and he just went to me, Paul, I can't believe that was those machines. It was like, yeah, Dad, yeah, I've seen them all the time, so I'm like, blasé, yeah, cool, aren't they? Yeah, but he was like absolutely in awe of that, but all the kids are as well, and it will, as you say, will inspire kids to become engineers, become designers, become artists, and that's just a cool thing. So,
I suppose you never cease to be amazed with what people do with Legos, the humble brick, and what people's imagination can do.
No, it's true. Even something that's completely enveloped in the world of Lego, like myself, even now, a lot of builds still inspire me and still just make me go, just wow. There's a guy, Damien Thomas. He builds dinosaur skulls and dinosaur kind of skeletal structures. That's not somebody that's built that. That's not bones. That's actual Lego parts are being used to make dinosaurs. And he's such a humble guy with it, and he's not arrogant, and he just goes, yeah, they're okay. They're amazing, you know. But yeah.
I think that must be one of the acid tests in terms of how good something is if it doesn't even look like it's the material that it's made out of. Yeah,
and you get a lot of people than that, but that in itself is just incredible. You have to look so hard. Even the teeth is used, the hands, the hand parts, and they're it's just incredible. Yeah. So, but you're even still now, I get inspired, and I'm looking forward to going to Denmark, because that's one of it's one of the fan show. Really, it's a real selective show, and not only the best people go and display there really. So I'm looking forward to going there and being inspired myself even more. I forgot the show's called. There's one in Chicago every year as well in the States. Again, the best Lego builders in the States are over there. I'm hoping to go there next year. And just as being inspired as anyone else is.
So you can actually see a lot of the world through Lego. Think about
it. Yeah. I've seen everywhere. I've seen Sheffield. I've seen London. I've seen Hull. Like, all these very tropical places. Manchester. So yeah.
Another fact, you probably know this already. I think Lego was voted like the best toy of all time, at least a few times.
Yeah. And I think it is becoming the best-selling Lego toy of all time, and it's very unique. I think people say this. It's very unique for a toy company for their one product is to be they're the most successful toy company with only one product, which is the Lego brick, and that's the possibilities of the brick itself, and not just the brick, but every single other part they've released. It's not just bricks anymore. Trust me. You do get that. You sell back in my day, it was just bricks and all that, and now it's all a bit too fancy and all that. Yeah, I appreciate what they mean, because you were very limited back then. Now you're not limited at all. Everything is completely whatever you want it to be, and there's parts available to make it whatever you want it to be. So I do get that to a degree, really. Yeah.
And what do you think of these counterfeit brands?
There's a funny story. My sister-in-law, when my daughter was younger, and she said, "I've got some Lego in the loft. I'll bring it round." And I'm going, yeah, what she's got, because people give away Lego and they don't know what they've got in the garage, or what they've got in the loft. And Mum is excited, for example, and she brought it round and it was fake Lego, and it was like going, no, get it away from me, So recently, my daughter's actually got to not horrible age. She's now 10, and she said the words that I've always feared, but I kind of hoped at the same time. She said, Dad, do you want my Lego? And it's like, it's heartbreaking, because that was our connection, really, as when she was growing up. And now she's no longer playing with it anymore. And so I've got her Lego collection behind me, and I'm sorting through that. And there are fake Lego pieces still in there, and I'm having to throw them in the bin. So, yeah,
I do. My own personal experience of other Lego knockoffs doesn't quite fit together as well. It always seems
together. It just doesn't feel the same. I don't know why. I know it's me being a snob. It's me being absolutely geeky. I know, but I don't care. So
yeah. It's been brilliant. It really has been a blast. It's been brilliant talking to you all about this. And anybody, I would have to say, it just seems such a friendly, welcoming group of people. I've talked to other people in Brickish, and they all seem equally enthusiastic about talking about their experiences, their builds, what motivates them. It's not closed, it's not guarded. They just want the best for everyone, really.
Yeah, and it is also that people care about it a lot as well, and they're quite protective of it as well in terms of the community and the positive nature, making sure that still is intact. And protecting amazing groups like Fairybricks and the work they do, and the events they do, and other events across the country that are raising money for all different types of causes. And it's so we're quite protective of it at the same time, and making sure that community still remains as it should.
If anybody wants information on Brickish, we'll put the details to the website.
Yeah.
Thanks for talking to me, Paul.
No, absolute pleasure. Thank you for talking to me as well. Take care.